Today you'll hear about how Beacon Hill affects the Blue Hills and what kinds of resources it gives to the Blue Hills makes a big impact on how visitors can appreciate and enjoy it. I'm Judy Lair-Jacobs, the Executive Director of the Friends of the Blue Hills. And I'm with Senator Walter Timilty today. And you are watching Blue Hills Alive, your weekly guide to the Blue Hills. We are on spring break, so we actually are not live, but we will be back live next week. But leave your comments below and we'll be sure to get back to you as soon as possible. So, thanks for coming today.
Judy, thank you very much.
So, first I just wanted to start out by what your connection is to the Blue Hills.
Well, going back in the history of my life, when I was a little boy, my parents' friends used to take me hiking here in the Blue Hills, in the Blue Hills Reservation. And of course, my favorite part of the Blue Hills is the Trailside Museum. So as a little boy, my mother would take my sisters and I to the Blue Hills, the Trailside Museum, which of course is the gateway to the Blue Hills. So that's my connection. And now, of course, professionally as a legislator, it's my job. I'm very proud of the fact that my district, the heart of it is the Blue Hills Reservation. So it's my job to work with the Friends of the Blue Hills and all the citizens of the region to protect this regional asset.
That's great. So what's your favorite part of the park?
Favorite part of the park is the Trailside Museum.
Is it?
I just have great memories there from when I was a child with my mother and my sisters, and now, of course, with my sisters and my mother and my nieces and my nephew.
Oh.
So that makes it special right off the bat.
That's sweet. There's a lot that goes on at the State House that affects the Blue Hills. Do you want to start out by talking about the budget?
Absolutely. Every single year we have a budget exercise in the State Senate and in the House of Reps in the spring. Of course, many months beforehand we're working on crunching the numbers. Our analysts in the House Ways and Means and Senate Ways and Means Committee are putting budgets together. And of course, money makes the world go round. So this great reservation, this great asset needs resources to make it work for all of the citizens of the Commonwealth and beyond. So the budget is very important to the fundamental underpinnings of this reservation.
Yeah, there's a lot that the state has given to the Blue Hills in terms of resources. Do you want to talk about just all of the work that is going on because of the state resources, like the observatory and Elliott Tower?
Certainly. Well, let's look at some of the assets we have in this region. As you just alluded to, the Blue Hills Observatory, which I believe was founded in 1885, which is an atmospheric and scientific treasure. Obviously, there are state subsidies there, of which I'm proud every year to vote for that line item and to sign on to various amendments throughout my career in both the House of Representatives and the Senate. You have the Blue Hills Ski Area, which obviously is part of DCR and private contractors are brought in to run it, but it's unique. We have a ski area right next to a metropolitan area in the United States of America. The proximity is just priceless. And then, of course, the Trailside Museum, which I mentioned earlier, which is the gateway to the Blue Hills. Last year, I filed an amendment for $250,000, which was successfully adopted in the Senate and carried the day in the conference committee. If it hadn't been adopted, I'm fearful that the Trailside Museum may have closed. Now, in my years before in the House of Representatives, I, along with Bill Galvin from Canton, Lou Kafka, Mark Cusack, Bruce Ayers, Paul McMurtry, John Rogers, signed on to file various amendments to enhance the line item for the Trailside Museum to keep it open, because it's an educational asset, it's an ecological asset, and it's an environmental asset. And it's great working with the Audubon Society of the Commonwealth. So those are some of the things that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts subsidizes or funds to make the Blue Hills Reservation the treasure that it is. Now, we also, of course, fund the DCR Park Rangers, which are part of DCR, which patrol the reservation, protect us from poachers, from illegal hunting, there for public safety if anybody's injured, and to make sure that the reservation is preserved and respected.
And where's the budget process right now?
Right now, the House of Representatives, with their House and Ways and Means Committee, which is the financial wing of the House of Reps, put out their budget proposal last Wednesday, and members of the House of Reps had until Friday at 5 o'clock to file amendments, which are various legislators' efforts to tweak the budget in such a way that they believe represents the best interests of their district. Currently, Senate Ways and Means, in conjunction with the members of the State Senate, will put numbers together, and in mid-May, the State Senate Ways and Means Committee will put out their version of the budget, our version in the State Senate. And we will take up the budget in the State Senate the last week of May. I think we'll start on May 21st. The House of Reps will start their budget exercise this coming Monday. And once the House and Senate have both completed their versions, we'll have what's called the conference committee. Now, Governor Baker back in February filed what's called House 2, which is Governor Baker's vision of what the budget should be. But the budget is a legislative function. In the end, the legislature's will carry the day, which I think is appropriate given that we have the smallest districts. We are closer to the will of the people and closer to what the people are thinking and what's on people's minds. So I think it's appropriate that the budget in the end becomes a legislative fiat.
And when's the best place for people to plug into the process if they're interested in helping to support funds for
I would
resources?
say, this, of course, I'm biased because I've served in both the House and the Senate, but for years, both the House and the Senate have preserved, and for instance, the Trailside Museum, for one, an asset here in the Blue Hills Reservation. I'd say reach out to the governor's office. That's always a great way to do it. Regardless of who the governor is over the years, it's always been the legislature that's come through to preserve the reservation. So I'd reach out to the governor's office and the Senate president and the speaker's office as well.
And what's the timing of this? This like a long process? When's the best time to?
We'll have a budget in place. There'll be a budget agreement between the House and the Senate in late June. Our fiscal years go from July 1 to July 1. So we'll have a budget agreement, what's called a conference committee report between the House and Senate by the end of June. And I would say at that point the governor will have it on his desk. The governor will issue vetoes. The governor, unlike the President of the United States, has a line item veto, so he will line item veto certain items in the budget. He'll also amend certain parts of the budget and then send it back to both the House and the Senate. In which case the House and Senate, if we act in concert, can override the governor's veto, a gubernatorial veto, with a 2/3 vote in each chamber. And we can also accept or reject amendments. We can also let some of the governor's vetoes stand. In years past, I've seen governors issue between 200 and 300 vetoes.
Really?
To the conference committee report that the House and Senate jointly send the governor. But it's so much of what we do is about resources, securing the resources and directing them in the right places. And I'm proud over the years to say that the Blue Hills Reservation has been a big priority, and I believe my record bears that out.
You've also done work to help improve the crossings at 138 and 20.
You read my mind, Judy.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
I'd be happy to. Obviously, the Blue Hills Reservation is here. It's a regional asset, and we want as many people as possible to use the Blue Hills Reservation. And a big part of that is people and the citizens of the Commonwealth may use it safely. Last year, I filed an amendment for $15,000 for our trails to enable and study a way in which people can traverse the trail safely when they have to cross Route 138. So the $15,000 will study and create a plan so that all the people who use the trail can do it safely and enjoyably.
Right. It's a benefit. Do you have anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I hope so, because this is a beautiful spot, Judy.
It's great. Well,
It's a great respite from the day. It is. It's to be here talking with you.
Isn't it nice?
Oh, it's spectacular.
So is there anything else you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'm very excited. The potential of this reservation. I believe the Friends of the Blue Hills have done wonderful work long before I became an elected official in protecting this reservation and enhancing it. And I'm excited what we can do going forward in the future.
Great.
It's all about partnership. We have a great delegation here locally. And, in Randolph, it's Mark Cusack and Bruce Ayers and Bill Driscoll and myself and Bill Galvin and Luke Kafka and Stoughton and Sharon with myself and Senator Feeney, Senator Keenan, and Rep. McMurtry, Rep. Rogers. I think we're a great unit, and we believe in the mission of the Blue Hills Reservation and the mission of the Friends of the Blue Hills.
Woohoo.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
Good.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
Okay.
Do you? Okay.
I wish we did because I could stay here.
Great. Well, thank you for watching Blue Hills Live, your weekly guide to the Blue Hills. We'll be back live next week talking about one of the historic structures in the Blue Hills, Broderick Stables, and how we can help to protect it. We'll see you next Thursday at noon.